Give it up, 27,000 strong, no-hitter here tonight, Jered Weaver. Jered, how good does it feel to be able to do this here in Southern California, where you grew up, in front of the fans that have adored you from the time you came up through the minor league system?
I'm at a loss for words right now, man. It doesn't mean I didn't continue. Thank you guys for all your support. This was awesome. I couldn't have done it without the defense. Guys for picking me up left and right. Guys scored some runs early, took a little pressure off me, was able to throw some strikes. And, like I said, I ain't at it. Throwing down the right fingers, gotta love that.
Weave, take us through that last moment, that fly ball to Torii Hunter to right field. How did you feel as you watched that ball track into his glove?
The Spider-Man out there, man. I knew he had a feed on it. You could see him put a charge in it, but Spider-Man ran it down. So, like I said, defense was awesome. This is so surreal. I can't even believe this, man. It's awesome.
What is up? It is your boy Johnny Mags back at it once again, along with
Daniel Garcia from Halo Haven.
And we are here for another edition of the All Angels podcast. And today's podcast is being broadcasted live on YouTube as well, so it's a simulcast. If you guys want to eventually check out, if you're listening to us live, you want to jump on there, go ahead and jump on and watch us live on YouTube. But if you're listening to the podcast side of this presentation, you can go ahead and search Halo Haven on YouTube, or The Halo Haven on YouTube, and you can catch the video version of this podcast. You can check out Halo Haven headquarters behind us. As you can see, if you guys are watching us on YouTube, you can see the beautiful Halo Haven background behind us. So that's the big news, is that we're going to go live on YouTube every week, hopefully.
As much as we can, at least.
Yeah. So that's that. You heard the very beginning of the show, you heard a clip of Jered Weaver's no-hitter, his interview after the no-hitter he pitched against Minnesota in, 2012?
Yeah, May 2nd.
May 2nd, 2012. Big night for Jered Weaver as he no-hit the Minnesota Twins. It was announced yesterday, the Padres released a statement. He wrote on his Twitter, I believe.
Yeah.
He said goodbye to his baseball career. It almost seemed like he pitched longer than 12 seasons, but it was 12 seasons. For most of the 12 seasons, he was the Angels ace of the staff. You have numbers written down, or do you have the numbers in front of you?
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, not counting the last couple, but he had a very good career with the Angels. He finished with the Angels exactly 150 wins for his career. Again, that's with the Angels. His 2010, 2011, 2012 was all-star years. I guess some say his best, if you go by like Cy Young voting, his best year was 2011. He was in second place, Cy Young, just behind Verlander. But yeah, so great season, three-time All-Star, like I said, a 20-game winner in 2012. Just one of the guys that for a while was the ace of the staff, and you can depend on coming in, putting up good numbers. And you were talking about it earlier. He's second in wins, only behind Chuck Finley.
Yeah, and that's pretty impressive. And you look at his overall numbers, and like 150 wins and 98 losses. That's pretty impressive. That's 50 games over 500, over 50 games over 500. Whenever you can finish a career with being over 500 as a pitcher, especially this day and age with the ball flying out of the parks and whatnot, that's impressive. So I tip my cap to Jered Weaver for a great career. And almost then something I wanted to touch on real quick. We won't talk too much about it, but it seemed like he lost velocity. He lost a lot of his, not tenacity, because his tenacity was always there, but he lost velocity like from 2012, it seemed like really quickly, right?
Yeah, and I think it's the same thing. I think if you look at the velocity on his average pitch, I think you would see it too. I mean, he was, when he did come in, he wasn't exactly like a flamethrower when he came in.
No.
I think at his prime, he was topping out like at 93,
92 tops,
somewhere
yeah.
around there. But I mean, if you look at 2014, I think, and that's when he won 18 games. And again, he didn't have great speed on his fastball, but he's always been a guy that can work the counts, very smart.
His corners.
His off-speed stuff was unbelievable.
That changeup was pretty
Yeah,
good.
I mean, so even if he's topping out in his later years at whatever 82, you want to say, on a good day,
yeah,
his changeup was coming in at 69, and just the differential helped him out a lot.
Yeah, and a guy who pitched like that was a guy like Greg Maddux, who wasn't an overpowering guy, but spotted his pitches, hit corners, changed velocity. That changeup was devastating. Weaver obviously went to San Diego, just couldn't recapture what he had. And hey, good for him for knowing, hey, that's it. Maybe he signs a one-day contract with the Angels or retires.
Yeah, I would love to see it at the end of the year if they were just to, like you said, do a one-year contract or one-day contract, retire as an Angel, do a little ceremony for him, maybe at the beginning of next year sometime, and and eventually we're having this conversation earlier before a little pre-podcast meeting, whatever. We wouldn't be surprised if they do a ceremony for him and put him in the Angels Hall of Fame.
Right.
Right, because like I said, second in wins, just behind Chuck Finley, and so he has a lot of the numbers. He's in a lot of the top 5 numbers pitching wise in Angels history. So would not be surprised if next year or maybe the year after they do some kind of ceremony for Weaver with the Angels fans there, and I'm sure it would mean a lot to him.
Absolutely, and that would be a fitting way for him to end his career as an Angel. Spent most of his 12 seasons as a Halo, came up through the system, and so tip my cap to Jared Weaver for a good career as a Halo. All right, so moving on. Obviously, the Angels, since our last broadcast, we've taken over the second spot in the wild card. Daniel, had I told you 2 months ago that we'd be in the second wild card spot, what would your reaction have been?
All right, that's great. Let's hope it sticks.
Right. So, and more than that, I mean, I'll knock on wood, and you can hear me knocking on that wood. They've been playing great baseball. I think I don't know how many wins they have in August. It's something like 12 or 11, 12 wins in August.
They've only, I mean, if you look at it since last time we talked, the only loss they've had against Washington, they went up and swept Seattle, which was huge. I think that's what kind of catapulted them into that second wild card spot.
Yeah.
And after that, they had a day off Monday, tough game. I mean, it wasn't a bad game by Skaggs. You're talking about a 3-1 game.
Right.
And the offense just didn't put it together. But if you were to say Skaggs gives up 3 runs and 2 of them on solo home runs by, ex-Angel Howie Kendrick. But if you were to say that, I would have thought, not that bad of an outing. We just need the offense to come together. And same thing on Wednesday when they had a day game, kind of a low-scoring game again. And luckily,
big hits,
Crone and Calhoun both homered. Or no, was it Valbuena? Luis homered, and Calhoun homered and put it over the top. And so again, they're on this road trip with just 3 more games left in Baltimore.
Right.
So let's see how it goes, and hopefully they'll come back home with that second wild card spot still intact.
And we're going for that top spot. I mean, that top wild card spot too, because the Yankees haven't been playing up to what they have been. We're 2.5 games behind that first wild card spot, so that's not out of the reach. Bad problem about all this is we got like 4 other teams right behind us: Kansas City, Minnesota, and then teams that aren't even that far back.
Right. I mean, you got like 5 teams, 6 teams, all within 4 games of the second wild card spot. So it's not over by any means. I mean, Angels have 1 bad week, and everything can be flipped on its head.
Right.
And vice versa. If they have another great week, maybe you can get that gap even bigger. But they've been at half a game lead for the past week now. It seems like since they got it, they haven't been able to get any more room. So hopefully, coming up in the next homestand, they were able to put some more distance on it.
Yeah, and not all the Angels have to do, but what they got to do is win games.
Right.
You win games, you take care of business. You don't have to worry about the teams behind you. The schedule is not easy.
No.
It's pretty hard.
Well, if you look at the numbers, and I was thinking about this earlier, they had a stat on a TV show, and they said the contending teams, the Angels have the hardest record of the contending teams opponent's record of the last the top 3 contenders. But a lot of it, though, if you look at it, it's because of how good Houston's playing or was playing, and their numbers are so big. But Houston's kind of coming down a little bit more,
Right.
so maybe the number of wins they have isn't as intimidating as it was maybe in a couple months ago.
Right.
But you do have Cleveland still left on the schedule. I believe that's the only non-AL West team that we have left on the schedule.
Right.
After Baltimore, obviously tomorrow and the weekend. But you have Houston, you have
Texas,
you
Seattle.
have Seattle, you have Oakland. So you kind of want to take care of your own division.
Right.
But again, it's not going to be easy with Houston. It's not going to be easy with Cleveland because Cleveland's also trying to catch up and get try and get home field advantage for their first round too. So they kind of have a little something to play for also.
And the teams in the West that we do play, Texas, Seattle, Oakland, very good teams. Teams that we can easily lose to. So, the Angels have to continue playing the ball that they've been playing. And in this recent streak, it's kind of been clicking for them on all cylinders. When the pitching wasn't doing so good, the offense picked up the slack. Case in point, yesterday was the offense wasn't all that great. The 2 home runs that gave us the 3 runs, but the pitching held it down.
Right.
You had Ricky Nolasco, who I posted on my Facebook, how dare you give up 2 runs so early?
Yeah.
And pitch great.
Everyone's freaking out. I mean, I understand Ricky Nolasco has an up and down.
Well, the home run ball.
The home run ball. But I'm the kind of guy that doesn't like to react to anything, especially if it's in the first inning. And if you watched any games this season, a 2-run deficit going into whatever inning, the 3rd, 4th, it isn't a lot for this team.
Right.
So the fact that he was able to, it was a hard-working first inning, but the fact that he was able to get out of it and able to keep it at 2, and he comes out, shutout inning, again, shutout inning, again, shutout inning. After like maybe the 3rd or 4th inning, I'm like, okay, at least they're getting some kind of flow. At least he's doing better. I saw a stat on Twitter where his last 5 games where Gratterall has caught him, his ERA is like 3.4, something good like that. So, I mean, maybe they found something there. Yeah, maybe it's a little late, but at least it's better than never. That Gratterall might be his catcher now for the foreseeable future, kind of like how the guy on the Cubs, they can't throw over the first.
I don't know. Well, Greg Maddux had Eddie Perez catch for him. Right. That was his guy. So, I mean, when a pitcher feels comfortable with the guy behind, that's a lot. I used to be a pitcher, pitched in college. My catcher, Justin, was my dude. And I felt a lot more comfortable throwing to him. I felt like I can trust that if I had to throw a curveball in the dirt, I felt like he can block it. Or, hey, I wasn't confident in my fastball, you call the pitches, and he told me to throw the fastball in a certain count, count. I felt comfortable with him making that decision. Right. So that was at the collegiate level. I can just imagine in the high school level at the major league level where the stakes are that much higher, and a guy like Nolasco has to come in and pitch a good game against Washington yesterday, and he did. He left yesterday's game kind of in the middle of a at-bat cramps.
Cramps in his calves, I believe.
Yeah, it was humid and hot over there.
Yeah, it was. I looked it up. It was 90 degrees with something like 40%, 50% humidity. Is probably in a day game.
Right.
It's probably just not something you like to play in.
But throughout this whole streak, like I said, if it wasn't the pitching that was doing it, it was the offense that was doing it. So that's when it's happened. Guys need to pick up the slack when something's not going on. And lately, a guy like Luis Valbuena, and I've talked about it, and you guys know I'm biased because he's a friend of mine, but it seems like lately he's been coming through kind of when you needed him to come through, and that's what you need. And when a guy's struggling, for him to come through and hit a home run. Even C.J. Cron, he's on this streak where let's just keep running him out there, keep running him out there until if you're at a crap table and you're rolling, you're not going to stop.
Keep on going. I would love to see him play on that Tuesday game. They gave the start to Pujols, which I guess I understand why, but it was good to see that. Okay, well here we'll give him the Tuesday start or the Wednesday start during the day game. But I think the more you give to him, the better off he'll be, because he's proven that once he gets on a streak, just let that thing go, and then after maybe a couple, maybe 2 or 3 0 for 4 games or whatever, then you can kind of take it back a little bit. But while he's hot, let it go. Just see where it takes you, and you're at a point in the season now where you have to find that hot hand, whether it's in the bullpen, and we'll get to that later, or at bat, and just you have to go with it.
Yeah. Also, another thing that a lot of people have been, mostly on social media, on the Halo Haven page, and if you guys don't follow Halo Haven already, do so. on the Facebook at Halo Haven. Halo underscore Haven. Just
Underscore
Halo
Haven, yeah. Halo underscore Haven, both on Instagram and
Yeah.
on Twitter.
And if you check it out, you check the fan page on Facebook even, there's people that comment, and a lot has been said from Mike Solskjaer's changing of the lineups. And my response to everything is, hey, if it's working, let it ride.
Right.
You know, why, you know, there's certain, depending on who we're playing, depending on who's pitching, numbers, sometimes maybe his feeling, his gut feeling, he's got a big gut, but you have to go with what you feel is right at that moment. You know, I don't feel that Luis should play today. Let's start Pennington, or let's start Coward at third, whatever the case may be. And I know that we want some consistency in that lineup, but the Angels have been winning games, you know, especially in the last 2 weeks, have been winning games where we needed to win. That sweep in Seattle, the way we won those games as well, where we had to come from behind mostly in every game. So
Right.
impressive. But Mike Solskjaer's lineup changes, how do you feel about that, Daniel?
I mean, I understand when you obviously need to give a guy a day off. I mean, besides the major guys like your Trout, your Calhoun, you know, your Simmons, your Maldonado, like those are probably the main guys I wouldn't want them to mess with, regardless of who's pitching or whatever. But I can understand, and you know when he's healthy, but I can understand kind of playing the matchups. Right now, I wouldn't mind Cron being like a full-time guy.
Right.
When he's back to regular Cron, you know, not on a streak, then I can understand going the righty-lefty kind of matchup with,
Right.
with Valbuena. Because Valbuena's shown he could be a streaky hitter also against righties when he needs to be. But I don't really mind it, especially, and I'm more of a numbers guy than you are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a weird dynamic. I've seen stat-wise that Coward's really struggling right now, so that's why Pennington's been getting a lot of in between, like a lot of platooning. It's not so much here, Pennington, you play on an off day. It's strictly platooning now. And I don't know if Coward's was on a decline before that, you know, and so that's why they decided to go to platoon, or I don't know if he's declining because of the platoon. So stuff like that, I'm not too sure of. I'm guessing they have more information than we do. Like,
Right.
if there was that hamstring or something not too long ago with Coward where he said, I was fine, I'm fine, he never won the DL. And for a guy that's kind of in between that AAA Major League level, you don't want to go on the DL because
Right.
next thing you know, the next guy to get brought up, if he's on a hot streak and you got the DL, guess where they're putting you? They're putting you right back down.
You're going back down.
So I understand him not wanting to go on the DL, even if it was a serious hamstring or serious injury. But at the end of the day, I don't know if that's affecting him, and I'm guessing, you know, the manager would know more about that. So I'm okay with it to a certain point, but when it gets to like Cron hasn't played like in 3 games and he's on fire, then something like that, yeah, I would understand completely. But day-to-day kind of operations, again, if you leave Trout, you leave Calhoun, you leave Maldonado, you leave Simmons in there, then I'm fine with those base guys being on the field as much as possible.
Right, and those are the guys that need to be on the field. So, and then the whole pitching rotation, the pitching staff, people quickly, oh, well, you know, oh, how come they didn't start Bridwell? Why'd they go with Nolasco? Blah blah blah. I mean, you know, it's fun. It's fine to be frustrated, but again, matchups. You got to look at the matchups, the situations, the days off, blah blah blah. So speaking of pitching rotation, Andrew Heaney gets the ball tomorrow night for making his 2017 Major League debut.
His first start since April of last year of 16.
So getting a guy like Heaney, like I said, we've said in the last couple podcasts, we can't expect him to come out and be, you know, lights out. But if he can be like Skaggs, I'll take it.
Exactly.
I'll take it because
Go 3 runs,
Mhm.
6 innings, you know, so anything like that, especially after his first couple of starts,
right.
you'll take it.
And we know how good Heaney can be. We know we've seen glimpses of his greatness, quote unquote. Very young, less than a year removed from Tommy John surgery.
No, more than
a year. Yeah, my bad. More than a year from Tommy John surgery. So, you know, I think he was up around 90 pitches in AAA, which is good.
His last start was about 92 pitches.
That's good. If he can throw 92 pitches in 5-6 innings for the Angels with the bullpen that we have, and we'll get into that soon here. The bullpen that we have, you know, we got guys that it's cool to have this problem now. Now that I look at it, having a guy like Key, having a guy like Cam, having a guy like Parker, having a guy that Petit that can come in late innings and close down a game. You have different options. So give us 5 solid innings, 6 solid innings. If you can give us any more than that, thank you, Andrew.
Right.
But getting a guy like Heaney can only help this rotation. And moving forward for him as well, hopefully he gets some starts under the belt, and then we can hopefully get into the postseason, and he can be one of our top pitchers. Who knows?
Right.
Okay, so moving forward from that, we talked to you guys last week, and we'll get into our poll questions after this, but we told you guys last week that we had an interview with Fergus. You guys know him as the kid that caught Mike Trout's home run, but he was following the team around in the last, 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe or so. Following the team around, even went over to Toronto and Cleveland, I believe. Followed the team over there. He had spent the night at Keenan Middleton's house.
I know he went to dinner. I don't know if he spent the night. But...
Parker Bridwell, so on and so forth. Now, this was our very first radio interview or over-the-phone interview that we've ever done, so the audio may not be as good as we may have hoped. So now we've lesson learned. Next time it'll be better. But just quickly, we kind of asked some questions about how did you become an Angel fan, stuff like that. You should be able to hear our questions, but the answers that he gives us are more than enough. The Fergus high energy guy. This is the interview that we had with Fergus, who is now back in Hong Kong, by the way. So we got a hold of him yesterday, so we know that he's at home doing good. So our interview with Fergus. Here he goes.
So we are here with Fergus saying, Fergus, welcome to the All Angels Project. Thank you. So, this is what I want to know. How did you become an Angels fan?
Well, it all started with tennis actually. So 4 years ago, I was at Long Beach for a tennis tournament. Because of cheap rent, I stayed in Anaheim, and I was eliminated from the tournament really quickly while all my friends progressed. So during the time, I saw a day game, so I went to the day game and I watched.
You guys on YouTube, if you can't hear it, podcast side, go on iTunes, subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or www.spreaker.com, and you can listen to the Fergus interview if you can't really hear it very well over on your end.
Yes, I still do. I actually play as a pitcher and outfielder.
Alright. And now you live in Hong Kong, correct?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And so would you say for your school, or is it like the league that you play for?
Well, I play for a league and a school. So my league team is called the Dragonflies, and my school team is called the Islanders.
Just on cue.
Which
There's the dog.
That's our mascot.
The team, so it was kind of like...
Gotta get her in here with the Angels jersey roaming around.
Yeah, it was kind of like hard for me to maintain a team and be the captain.
Just have her lay right here.
At this
Yeah.
time.
People watching.
It's gonna take a little bit.
It's the first one.
There was 5 from the quality, if you see right there.
Well,
It's like going between green and
there are
yellow.
like a few
Probably
things
because of the
Green.
Wi-Fi.
I know that
Probably
they
because of the strong
I
concentrate
think it
on
was good,
MLB
but I
style
think
coaching.
3 people on
So
it.
like
I
they
think
would
that might be
do
part
batting
of it.
practice like 3 hours ago.
I don't know what it
But
looks
my
like,
team, they
you know,
focus
like-
on like what they can do. So we do our style of coaching. So they're not too focused on the MLB, but we sure do like watch it.
That's good. It's good to
The
know
true
that
test would
baseball
be
is expanding around the
the
world.
people who listen to the podcast, like on a Facebook link, who, let's say they didn't listen to it live or whatever, and we post it, and they're like, oh, we're on YouTube?
Yeah, they can watch it later.
Let me go look at it later.
Yeah, you can watch it later, so that's cool.
So,
Yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
like maybe during batting practice, I would go roam around. So I would usually be in right field and in left field to watch the bullpen warm up. And I would get like 1 or 2 pictures before the game. Like, hey, can I get a picture and stuff like that, which I've never done
Attendance
before.
too.
So
Angel
it's
Stadium
kinda
attendance
weird
third
and
out of
exciting
15.
for
Out of
me.
I'm guessing they just go out of the
And
league.
yeah, during the
American
game,
League.
American League third, 3 out of 15.
Actually,
Wow,
one
I
guy
didn't
came
know
up
that.
to me and
People
asked me
see
for
me
an
talk, oh,
autograph.
your
I was
stadium's
pretty
empty.
shocked. It was on my usually ball and all.
it's the tickets sold, not the people that are actually there.
What do you consider part of the best part of this whole, quick thing, or was it meeting the guys on the post-game show, going into the booth? Like, what in your opinion was the best part of your last trip?
It sounds alright.
You know,
Not bad.
Yeah,
It sounds better on here than I
It
thought.
actually sounds a lot better than I thought you make it
a
up
lot
to
of
be.
people would have thought that
I can hear you guys.
Mike Trout's home run would be
First time. He sounds good.
Yeah.
Because he's going straight into.
Yeah, I know.
I
You guys
feel
just
like
talk straight into it. I
at
mean,
practice,
simple
while
solution.
talking to like Middleton, Parker
Stretch my
Bridwell,
legs out real
and
quick.
Albert Pujols Jr., that I think was better than actually like.
So we're right here,
catching,
right?
like Travis Scott, but the
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
experience, I think, came from
You see it?
like talking to
It's
the
behind.
players,
way behind
It's
them.
behind him probably about
being
10
such good
seconds.
friends with them.
You haven't stood up yet.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think so.
That's great.
I don't know, I was tripping out when I was trying it out. I was like, what the
Feels
heck?
like I'm still talking though.
You
Like
can
it's really
just
behind.
being yourself and being energetic. If you're an energetic guy with yourself, on TV. You know,
It's
Yeah, I
live.
guess so.
and you can tell that
Well, it's kind of like the lag
I
on
haven't
TV.
stood up
though.
yet,
Like when you
though.
hear something on the radio and then you're like, oh.
now.
Then you see it on TV later.
Going back to Hong Kong now.
You still haven't stood up?
No.
I think I rewound it
Oh,
and then
okay.
it's kind of.
You know, actually, like a few days ago, a local newspaper came up to me and said, "Hey, can we do an interview at Angel Stadium?" I was like, "Sure." And now, probably it was from the second most popular newspaper from Hong Kong. So
You like that
he-
phone finger
like,
thing?
all my
Dude,
friends
right
texted
there.
me about that. And he's like, "Hey, you're on TV. You're on the biggest news channel on
Hit us up if you want one.
in Hong Kong." So
You got
yeah,
that.
and
I got
then
that phone
a few
finger there.
days
That's
ago,
why me.
Really?
another local
Yeah, dude, the thing's pretty
newspaper reporter texted me and said, if
$4
when I get back to Hong Kong,
I'm gonna pass that
they
out.
want to do an interview.
Oh, I got that
with me,
Felix
so
Hernandez
I guess I'm
66ers.
planning
Oh, the
to-
bobble?
Finally.
I have it. I have like 3. I just keep forgetting to get it to you.
Yeah, see, 'cause I think you did, Ryan, 'cause I'm looking at it, I'm at a different point than you are.
I never thought
Oh,
that
there.
would happen to me.
Well, I'm actually
Like,
watching
of
it.
all the people,
Oh, feels good right here.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. So,
yeah.
before we let you go, now we have my guest that I have on the podcast. What's your favorite topic about it?
What is it?
Just Dan sitting at the desk by
My
himself.
favorite part about
So I'm watching it right now to see where it is.
It's gonna be that.
Yeah,
Are you watching it on YouTube?
Yeah.
The bullpen
But see, that's not where that's at.
Yeah, that one I was messing around with the back and forth because I was looking
Oh,
at
you're
the
way
elevator.
later.
We just started the interview.
You just walked in right now.
So I think we just started the interview.
Here's the live screen right here.
Which is what I love about
Got about a minute left here.
So this is in real time right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I see that one.
And then that feeds over to YouTube.
Yeah.
And there's like probably 10-second lag. I need to do an Instagram live video. That usually gets pretty decent.
45 seconds.
People can ask questions and stuff on what's it called?
Yeah, you can do the live stream one or
They
the.
ask questions on YouTube, but I want to do
You can do the live stream
I'm
so
gonna
more
do
people
a
right
live
away.
stream, but the problem is I can't be in front of there. Just live stream from back there. No for the podcast.
20 seconds.
Maybe we'll have you back on again, man. If you
Alright, thank you for having me.
Hey, no problem. Hey, thank you down to the Angels over there. And ask some of your friends to become Angel fans over there in Hong Kong, man.
Yes, I will. I'll try.
Sounds good. Hey, you have a great safe trip, bud.
Thank you, bud.
And that was our interview with Fergus Chan. How awesome, living the dream, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said too, one of the things I wanted to do is always kind of follow the team around to different stadiums. Because, yeah, Angel Stadium's great, and I've been there, you know, a bunch of times, but I wouldn't mind going and traveling with the team and seeing them in Safeco, or seeing them in Cleveland, or seeing them in Houston. Like, to me, that's probably the best part. I would love to do that as a personal, like, kind of bucket list thing.
Oh man, I've been to Safeco. Haven't been there for a game. Took a tour of Safeco. That'd be a great place to watch a game. Cheer on the Halos. Camden Yards would be another.
Cannon
one.
Yards, I heard that's really nice.
Cleveland.
Back east, yep.
Our buddy Jason Kroom from Kroom Dogs Gourmet Sausages right now. He went over to Baltimore, headed over to PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Not following the Angels around. It would have been perfect for him to go to Baltimore. He was already on the East Coast, but he didn't do that. I don't know if he thought that went through, but yeah, definitely it'd be awesome to go follow the team around. And then he got the exposure, was able to kind of hang out with some of the guys. Had dinner with Keenan, I think Parker Bridwell. Just got to be on. Had all access to Angel Stadium.
That's really cool, yeah.
Kid his age,
Being on TV.
not from here, being able to just, man, I can't even imagine how hyped I would have been had I had the to do what he's been, or go through what he's been through. So big ups to Fergus. Thank you, Fergus, if you're listening, for joining us on the podcast. We'd love to have you back on again someday soon. But our first interview from Halo Haven headquarters here, and again, we'll work better on the audio quality as it goes. So first run, I think
Yeah.
it was good. So, all right. So moving forward, we had a poll question that Dan, you want to take over on this one?
Yeah, just going over the past week or so. If you've been watching the games, you've noticed there's been kind of a pitching carousel since Bud Norris has kind of hit the skids a little bit with his closing duty. So you have Keegan Middleton, you have Cam Bedrosian, Petit came in and closed the game, all fairly recently. So the poll question was, this point on into the season, who would you want to see as the closer? And the choices were Cam, Keegan, Petit. I still put Bud out there just to see what people would say, and then Blake Parker. And the result was, 68% said Cam, which makes sense to me, and that's where I personally voted, just because he's had that experience before last year.
Right.
He's been through, tough games. He's able to do it. He was the scheduled closer at the beginning of this year.
Right.
So he has all the kind of the mental aspects of it. You have Petit, you have Parker, that I do not believe in the past they've done it. And then also Keegan, still being 23 years old, is still kind of getting the whole Major League Baseball aspect just in general.
Right.
So my vote was for Cam, so that's, I think, where the majority of the people went.
Right, and I voted for Key just because I like him in that role. I see him being the guy in the future. I know him and Cam are right there at age, and it's going to be a battle. But either way it goes, Cam's going to be the 8th inning guy, Key the 9th inning guy, Key the 8th inning guy, Cam the 9th inning guy. It's great to have this problem because you just named off 4 guys that can close the game for us.
Right.
That is a great problem to have.
And part of me kind of thinks too, especially now with the way the playoffs work, you want to get like 5-6 good innings, good strong innings from because of the way day offs are, from your starter. And then you need a good bullpen going, 6, 7, 8, 9. And now if you get all these guys with some kind of closing background, with some kind of closing experience, now they can come in and work at 7th inning like it's the 9th. Now you can get another guy in the 8th that acts like it's the 9th. And your bullpen can be a shutdown bullpen, which helps a lot in the playoffs. If we get there, that would be a great aspect, a great key to have for the Angels going forward in their pursuit of, something a little bit better.
Yeah, in 2002, and I'm that guy. I'm going back to 2002. You look at that bullpen that we had, late innings. You had Brendan Donnelly. You had Scott Shomweiss as your left-handed reliever coming out of the bullpen. You had a guy in Francisco Rodriguez who was just lights out.
Your 8th guy.
Yeah.
Your 8th inning setup guy. You knew when that happened. And again, he was kind of a rookie. I'm not going to sit here and say that Key is the same guy.
No.
But the similarities are kind of there's a lot. Young, rookie year. Kind of already have a closer already on the team with Cam and Percival back then. But if you can have that great 7th, 8th, 9 inning bullpen, that shortens games. Opponents know now they need to score something quick.
Yeah.
So maybe they rush themselves a little bit. Maybe they take a little more chances, and we're able to capitalize on it with throwing them out at trying to steal a base or trying to extend. Going first to third, you throw them out. So it only helps what the Angels are trying to do.
Absolutely. And you got to think, a starting pitcher, all I got to do is give him 5 solid innings.
Mm-hmm.
Let me challenge this guy right now. Let me give it all I got in these first 5 innings because I know, Blake Parker's going to come in, shut it down, followed by Key, followed by Petit, and followed by Cam, whoever they choose to finish the game. Now, I want to touch on Petit. This guy has done really well for us, and he's been probably the most underrated guy in the bullpen this season.
Yeah.
He has pitched some really good innings for the Angels.
And it's not only and what I really appreciate about it, it's not only in one slot. It's not only the 7th inning guy. It's not only the 8th inning guy. He started a bullpen game in Toronto, and he pitched four innings. Great ball. He's kind of the do whatever you need me to do kind of guy. If you need me to come in the 3rd and jump in for a starter and give you 2-3 innings, I can do that. If you need me to come in the 8th and shut it down, I can do that. If he needs to come in the 9th and get a save, he's done it, and he has this year. So yeah, he has a 3-0 record this year. He has a 2.36 ERA, 42 games, so he's gained a workload. Now the only thing going forward I'm kind of going to be looking for is that at this point now, 42 games that he's been in is now tied for his career high. So now you're getting into kind of uncharted territory. So you might not see him as much coming in, especially if it's a blowout one way or the other. But that's another thing you got to look out for Parker and for Petit, where these guys are kind of unknown guys. They're all reaching out their innings and games pitched, so you kind of have to play them with kid gloves a little bit. Maybe give them not pitch them on back-to-back days, or if you do, maybe give them a couple days off to pace yourself for that. Now, obviously, if it's a game you need to have, it's a close game, you're going to do it, but you do kind of have to watch out for that part of their career.
Yeah, sometimes being inexperienced is a problem, but sometimes being inexperienced can be a good thing. You're going out there, and on cue, that's if it's not a podcast, then it's a dog's bark.
Yeah.
So this is a hot topic right here, okay? Yeah. As I was getting to it, sometimes being an inexperienced pitcher, hey, maybe you're going to challenge a guy. You know what I mean? I'm going to push myself a little further. These guys are going to start to know now what they have in that arm, what they have in their mentality to push themselves forward to win the game or get a guy out. Cam Bedrosian and yesterday touched on it in a post-game interview. I should have had you look for this interview, but he touched on saying, hey, the first guy got on, got to second right away. I had to forget about that, shut that down, move forward, and try to just get the next three guys out. And that's the mentality that these guys have shown to me. Each guy, Keenan Middleton, that game against Seattle where it was that last game where it was just he really battled down, got himself in a situation where they could have possibly, walked off on us, but fought through it and showed a lot of character, a lot of heart. I'm impressed with every single one of these guys in the bullpen, but to me, Petit has been a guy who's kind of just been overlooked,
right?
And needs to get some kind of credit. I think the guy's done some good stuff for us. I'm happy with the situation we got going on. It's a very good problem to have, being able to go to these 3 or 4 guys to close the game out.
No, exactly. I mean, like you said, it's a great problem to have, because now with Skaggs coming back, with hopefully Richards, now Haney coming back, Meyer, who knows, but you're going to start seeing some more movement. Jesse Chavez, since being moved to the bullpen from the starting role, has done really well. He came in and did for Nolasco on that Wednesday game. Again, not many pitchers get put in a situation where it's a 2-2 count with 2 outs.
Go out there and get this guy out.
Go.
Yeah.
And he struck the guy out, came out again for another inning, went 1-2-3.
Shut him down.
And that's always been Chavez's thing, even when he was a starter. The first time through the lineup, he's been great. And then that second time through the lineup, where it's getting him in trouble. So now if you can put him in a situation where he doesn't have to worry about that. You're going to see probably the next 7 guys that someone gets on. And that's all you have to worry about. So if you can do that, that's another great arm to have that can go the distance or go even longer than just 1 or 2 innings.
Right. And having a guy like Chavez in the bullpen helps us out. If we have to have a bullpen game or a spot start, he's there. He's a spot start for us. Give us 4 or 5 innings. If he goes 4 innings, good. Same thing. Same thing as Petit. Go out there, Jesse. Throw some innings for us. Get it done. But I like the bullpen. The bullpen has been a bright spot for us all year long. I don't think there's been, I'll knock on wood again, there's been a situation or a point in time where we're like, oh man, here we go, we're going to the bullpen, except for Bud lately.
But he seemed to come back. Well, I think he's only been, 2 games since we last had a podcast. So,
moving forward from that, I mean, the bullpen's looking good. We'll move forward on our agenda here. Do we have any listener questions?
No, I didn't have any questions. I didn't really ask, so nothing this week unless Chris.
We actually have a few questions coming in on Instagram. Big hot topic right now, and I think you guys know where I'm going with this. Is are the Angels gonna pursue Mike, aka Giancarlo Stanton, in the offseason? Is that something worthwhile? Is that crazy? We have Bryce Wicker26 on Instagram asking about Giancarlo. Guys?
Dan, I know that you touched on this on a post.
I think, and again, I'm not taking anything away from the player, the guy himself. I mean, he is only 27. He is a California product. For you guys that don't know, he did go to Notre Dame Sherman Oaks.
Hunter Green went there too.
Yeah, up in the valley. So you look at his numbers, and they're really good this year. This year he's just kind of blown up 44 home runs, which is the new career high for him. But the thing you have to look at too, before this year, his career high in in games played is 145, 150. He has kind of an injury bug, but the big albatross, I guess you want to talk about, is his contract. He just signed a new contract with the Marlins not too long ago. I think this might be the second or third year of the contract. But that dude is making so much money for 10 years, and to have it all kind of get tied up in Pujols and Stanton, and then hopefully in Trout, you can't afford these $30 million plus athletes on the team and expect the rest of the surrounding pieces to be, good, to be better than average.
Yeah, we have to take a hit somewhere. And look, to me it boils down to Mike Stanton or Mike Trout or Giancarlo. I keep saying Mike. Giancarlo or Mike Trout. Who do you want? Because, like you said, we're gonna eat $30 million a year on Giancarlo. We got to give Trout probably the same or more.
Yeah, he'll probably. Trout will probably, and again, this is going to come down to the Harper in a couple years.
Right.
Harper's probably going to set the market, and he might be around 33.
Yeah. So you're looking at least 35 or 40 for Mike Trout per season.
Especially if he gets another MVP this year or the next couple years. So with all that money getting tied up in three guys,
it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, and I know Miami's trying to unload some. The whole Miami situation is kind of weird just because for you guys that don't know, they have sold the team, so they're kind of in between stage where the new owners are moving in and the old owners are moving out, and the conversation with the new owners if they want to keep him with that money or try to shed some payroll. That situation in general is just kind of chaotic, and I don't think Giancarlo or any of the other guys, whether it's like Ozuna or Yelich or any of the other Marlins guys, are going to move until that situation is final, which will probably be in the beginning to mid-October. So for this year, I don't think so. Off season, again, you're going to take on so much. Now, thinking about this, if you were to throw this situation out there, I think they would take it. I think it would be a good idea if you could somehow come here. You maybe give up one or two prospects, but also ship out a Pujols with his contract. But again, if they're trying to shed money, they're not going to do that. That's the only way it would make sense for the Angels to trade a big contract for a big contract. And then you could probably put Stan in that DH role. Right. Where, I think defensively what helped us this year is defensively, and I wouldn't want him playing left when you could sign a Maven for way cheaper.
Way cheaper.
Right. The power numbers are going to be there, but he'll steal more bases. He'll probably have a better defensive effect on a team than Stan would. But again, it's just so much money tied up in so many different, or not so many players. You just can't really look at it that way.
And you touched on it, Dan. You go get a guy like Stanton. You have to pay Stanton, you have to pay Trout, and you're paying Pujols. Okay? Right. So what about Simba? Right. What about
He's up in
Cameron
2020,
Maven?
I believe, too.
Yeah. What about Cameron Maven? What about Cole Calhoun? What about Andrew Heaney, Tyler Skaggs, if they continue to pitch on you and keep these young guys in your rotation? Right. What about going out and getting another quality starter? It's not going to happen if you go get a guy like Giancarlo Stanton on your team, another $30 million plus guy under contract.
And this was kind of what the Marlins' whole plan was with this contract too, because if you look at the numbers, when he signed the contract in 16, his base salary was only $9 million, then it went to 14.5, 25, 26, 26 again, and then it's just going to keep on escalating, 29, 32, 29, and 25.
Yeah.
But by then, he's going to be 37, and who knows, with a guy that big, with all that muscle mass, you don't know at what point his body's going to start breaking down.
And it is a good idea for come to the American League. I see him possibly going to a team like the Red Sox or the Yankees that have a lot of money.
There's talk about that, and there's also talk about the Dodgers, and Puig being a part of it and stuff like that.
Oh, well, that makes sense for them.
So
that's scary for the Dodgers.
Yeah, so I mean, the Angels have called, and I'm sure probably like 25 called.
Yeah.
Clear waivers, so if they wanted him so badly, they could have claimed him on the waivers and brought him over, but you clear waiver because no one wants to pay that contract, and Marlins are too cheap to say, okay, we'll send him over here and we'll pay his last couple years. Marlins don't do that as a historical franchise. That hasn't been their MO. Now with the new owners, who knows? Again, that's a whole crazy situation.
You don't know what their new mindset is as an organization. So to answer your question, Bud, no, I don't No, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, we just want to thank listener, or actually viewer, Bryce Wicker 26, and also Warpigs 33 for sending in that question. One more question. This is an excellent question for Halo_Jeff. That's GEOFF_. Actually know this guy. He's up in the Salt Lake City region. Goes to a lot of Salt Lake Bees games. Excellent question. Of all the Angels pitchers who started this year, who do you put in the wild card game if we make it there? So who's our go-to guy? We have one game, one chance.
I think if he's healthy and he's able to pitch the next 3 or 4 starts and he looks consistent, looks like his own self, I think you gave it to Haney. But again, there's a lot of time. If you go by the numbers, it's probably going to be JC or Bridwell. If you go by the numbers.
Yeah, see Jeff, that is a great question. I'm hesitant to go with Heaney because he is still very unexperienced kid.
Everyone is, though. That's the thing.
And everyone is. Even JC Ramirez. But at least season-wise, JC's been the guy who's won the most games. Parker Bridwell is 7-1.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So to me, looking at it like Dan said, numbers-wise, it's between Bridwell and JC. But you can't discount a guy like Tyler Skaggs either.
Right. If you go on if you go strictly on stuff.
That's a great
then I would say Haney.
Yeah.
But if you kind of have to go, and again, a lot of it too, and playoffs are a big kind of crapshoot. And I had a discussion with someone on, again, the Halo Haven fan page on Facebook. It's just the playoffs are so random, in general. Very rarely do you see the top team with the most wins win it. It's whoever's playing hottest. So I think at that point you'd have to go with a hot hand. If JC is on a 5-game winner or 4-game winning streak, then you roll that hand out. And if Bridwell is struggling and maybe he's kind of hit that wall a little bit, then you pull him back.
Right.
The playoffs are just so kind of up and down that you just kind of literally you have to. We don't have a Kershaw, a Bum, a
Kane,
a Scherzer.
Yeah.
You don't even have a Strasburg, but so I think at that point I don't think you can sit here and say, oh, we're gonna do this guy when the time comes. And then honestly, it's so close. You might be just pulling out whoever's up in the rotation because you're not gonna be able to set your rotation. For as much as you would love to, and if the Angels win and do get that second wild card spot, it's not gonna be by 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
It's gonna be by a half a game to where you're gonna have to roll with your rotation the way it is.
Right.
And then whoever's up in that rotation.
All hands on deck.
Whoever's up on that rotation is probably gonna be the starter. And then if something needs to come up, then you have a guy that's gonna come behind him. But the way the situation works out, you're literally probably gonna be the guy that's up in the rotation.
Yeah, you're right. It might have to be the guy who's that spot on the rotation, all hands on deck for that wild card game. You're on 2 days rest. You might have to come. It might even have to be not even a bullpen game. It's a starting rotation game where Heaney starts and gives you 2 innings, then you go to Skaggs for 2, then you go to JC for 2, and then you can get into your bullpen because at that point you need to win that game to get to the ALDS.
Right.
And then from there, that's when you can set up your rotation.
Yeah, because when you get past that wild card spot, you literally have more off days in the playoffs than you do in your regular season.
Right.
So you'll play a game, then you have an off day. And you'll play a game, and then you'll have 2 off days because it's traveling or whatever. So yeah, the wild card game is going to be a crapshoot. It's going to be, I think, whoever's up in the rotation because there's no way to really set your lineup as if you were Cleveland or if you were LA or if you were one of these teams like Houston. Houston's probably going to do that, and that might help us.
Yeah.
They might hold some guys back and make it a little bit easier for us, but we're not in a situation where they can just be like, oh yeah, we're going to hold Haney back from this start.
We don't even have an ace.
Right.
So, I mean, we wouldn't even have that question if it wasn't for the fact that we didn't have an ace. Garrett Richards went down early. I'm sure that if Garrett Richards is healthy, it wouldn't even be a question. Garrett Richards starts a game.
Right.
Or if Heaney had been healthy all season long and he, whatever. Skaggs, no one knows where they'd be right now, but JC has stepped up. Parker Bridwell, which I'm shocked at. When I looked, I didn't know he was 7-1.
Yeah.
But the kid pitches. He's a very good pitcher. I wouldn't mind seeing him start a game either. So, but I agree with you what you said. It has to be whoever's spot in the rotation.
Right.
Do we have any other questions, Curator?
LT Jim 329 says, "Where's the nacho helmets full of goodies?"
At Angels.
Josh and $25 million off the book next year. Who do we get? LT Jim 329 also added that one.
Well, the nachos, you can find them. I know there's a little.
I'll find them Tuesday.
There's a booth at the upper level on the 500s. There's like a little cart. As far as the lower level, I have no idea.
There's one when you walk in on the third base side,
I think you're right.
right where the.
But he wants to know where the goodies are that are filled within the nacho helmet.
Oh, what are the goodies?
Like where are the goodies at? Where the nacho helmets at? Funny thing, I actually picked up about 10 of those at a thrift shop
I don't
the
know
other
you guys,
day.
Chris.
You gotta ask Chris.
So we're looking for some cool giveaways coming up. We actually have our concession card over there. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's kind of in the back area. But where that peanut guy is, we have peanuts, Cracker Jacks, all that good stuff. So the LT Gym, that's where it's at.
What was his other question? It was
Josh and 25 million that came with that guy.
Oh.
We talked about that last week a little
Yeah.
bit.
Off the books, who do we sign?
Look.
You guys said no Giancarlo, so
No. Look, it depends on what. There's not really anybody out there that we can spend all this crazy amount of money on. People say starting rotation, but you look at the pitchers that are available to us. There's nobody really that we can. Nobody that I would say, oh, I'm going to give this person $14 million for 1 year because he's that good.
Right.
I don't see that person out there. Arrieta was the only guy who was a free agent, but he may be asking for big money, depending on where the Cubs go to in the postseason that he has.
Because he started out pretty slow, Arrieta, and so you're kind of thinking, okay, well maybe he'll be cheap and he'll sign like a 1 year deal.
Yeah,
he'll
I
want
don't
to
know.
prove it. But now the last couple couple months, he's kind of turned it around and was his old self. So his asking price might be up. And kind of again, like what we were talking about before, you have contracts coming off the books, so you might want to re-sign some of these guys.
Maven is a guy who I wouldn't mind re-signing.
Maven and Revere, I think, are both coming off the books next year.
Unal's gone, so we got to fill. And this is why I think they did the Valbuena signing this season. If Unal walks away, Valbuena's an everyday third baseman, okay? But then that doesn't mean that you can't go out and pick somebody up. It depends on who's out there, who's available for us. You got to be smart. We can't go out and get guys like the Josh Hamiltons that we did back in, because that bit us in the butt. Vernon Wells, people like that. So we got to be a little more. We got to see what we need as a team, and then if it's available to us, make the decision then.
Right.
But looking at the free agents a couple weeks ago when we looked them over, there wasn't anything jumped off the paper at me, and I went, oh, that's somebody the Angels could definitely get, you know.
Yeah, so maybe
a second baseman.
Yeah, you can find a second baseman, but then Coward, then you want to find maybe an updated. Pennington's going to be off the books also. Right. So you don't know if you want to keep him back and be a utility guy. I mean, he is going to be 30. He's 33 now, so I'm guessing by the time next season rolls around, he'll be 34. But you have, like I said, you have Petit coming off the books. He's going to be 33 next year, so I don't know if that age kind of scares him off a little bit. But he's coming off the books, and we just said how well he was doing. Andrew Bailey's coming off the books. He's still yet to really see what he can do. He just got back. Maven's off the books. Unal, you mentioned, is off the books. Revere's off the books. And then you got arbitration for some of these other guys that, maybe you spend a little more money on them and kind of give them like a hey, help us out now and then we'll take care of you later kind of deal,
And us just saying, all these guys are off the books, You got to re-sign these guys because, guys, look where we're at with these guys. Now, and this is with a bunch of injuries. The rotation would have stayed intact. How much better would this team be? We don't know. So this team being where they're at right now, a very above average team. In my opinion, the Angels are an above average team because they're over 500. They're above average.
Yeah.
So
by definition.
Yeah. So they're above average. They're a decent team that can only get better with with guys coming back and not being injured and a piece here and there. So let's work on what we have in front of us right now and make it better, and just kind of piece together as we can, because eventually when it's a big free agent does come up, in a few years, I don't know.
Yeah, Simmons.
Maybe you can go get him.
Yeah, Simmons and Trout are both coming off the book together at the same time in 2020.
Yeah.
So right now you're paying Simmons $8 million, and then you're right. It's gonna go up. It's gonna go to 11, 13, and then 15 million. But if he keeps his progression the way he is now,
you're gonna want to re-sign him to get a guy.
You might want to give him a couple more years.
Decent money too. Yeah. So, all right. Well. Thank you guys for the questions. Really appreciate it. If you guys have any more questions for the next podcast, go ahead and hit us up. on our Instagram or at Halo_Haven on Instagram. Facebook, same thing, Halo Haven.
Halo Haven.
On Facebook.
Twitter, same thing, Halo_Haven.
And if you guys have an iPhone or have an iPad, subscribe to iTunes, subscribe to the podcast. You can leave your reviews there. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know if you got a segment you have, want us to touch on or whatever. Maybe a person you want us to interview. Who knows? Send your suggestions there. www.spreaker.com as well. Search All Angels Podcast. You will find us there. Season's coming close to an end. Well, no, we still got about a month left, but dog days of summer, heading into September. The season's going to it's really tight right now, guys, and the Angels have been playing really well. I'm knocking on wood again. Hopefully they continue to play well moving forward. But we will be doing this roughly around the same time every week, around 8 o'clock on Thursday nights. And check us out on YouTube, youtube.com, and then search The Halo Haven.
All one word.
All one word, The Halo Haven, and check out the pod. You want to check out us, because we're cool like that. Check us out live. You can also send your, check us out live on YouTube as well. Maybe next week.
Leave a comment.
Leave comments there on the live feed. So other than that, it's going to wrap it up. I want to thank Chris Securitor Johnson, our executive producer here at Halo Haven headquarters. We shoot live here every week. And just shout outs to everybody else who's shown us love on Fergus. Thank you, Fergus, for the interview last week. So that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. I'm Johnny Maggs.
I'm Danny Garcia.
And we wish you guys a great rest of the week. Cheer on the Halos. And then we'll come home for some awesome bobbleheads next week. You guys have a great night. We'll catch you guys next week.
It should be like the fake news, like, the news catch it talk afterwards, like, yeah, exactly.
Like, get your papers.
Yeah.
Always
Like,
your bag.
And then Chris comes in and the lights start to dim and he's off.
Yeah.